Well, here we are back at the Twisted Knot Wood Shop with the part 5 of the Wild and Woolly end table. And we're to the stage where we have to determine how to get the cord from down from underneath there. There's where Stumpy comes from, so that hole there is where the cord comes through. Now, on the IRC chat channel that I'm frequently find myself in. Hang on. Frank, a friend of mine, the same guy that I went to New Jersey to help build a shop, suggested that to make this thing really classy, that I drill a hole from the end here all the way to here, and then the cord would come out. Well, this is only 2 and a little bit thick, 2 inches and a little bit thick, and that would scare me, and I'm fearless to be able to drill that hole and not blow it out the top. So I came up with an alternate plan based on his desire for me to make it classy, and here's what I came up with. This would be the table bottom, the surface here, and then so essentially I would cut 2 troughs, a deeper one where the cord would hide, and then a shallower one where a piece of metal would go in that would be flush with the table, the bottom of the table here. So that's a little bit along the same realm as what Frank demanded I do, and so I've got 2 routers set up over there, one with the far one with a 1.25 inch Morrison bit, and then the closer one with a 1/2 inch straight cutting bit. And yes, I know the cord is not a 1/2 inch wide, but it would allow me to set the cord in there, maybe staple it, along the trough way. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the center hole here, coming up out of this dowel, and put a straight edge, which you see sitting over there, and between here and this point, and then the cord would come out of there and then go up this leg of Stumpo, I mean, and then come down. Now, my fear with going against Frank's suggestion was if ever some poor slub that whoever buys this table has a problem with the cord, he would have a devil of a time fishing that cord through there with Stumpo being in, there and trying to get the cord out. So this trough idea is more of a better end result to keeping somebody from pulling their hair out or throwing a table away or no longer having a lamp. So I'm going to set up a fence for, draw a line, then set up a fence, and you'll see that here in a bit, and then we'll route the line, and then that I'll make a point mark down here where to stop the routering, and then we'll go from there. Right now, Stumpo is not fastened to the table. He's just sitting on there, but the dowel is glued into position, and it's firm, so I don't have to worry about that moving. So I'm gonna get this all set up, and then I'll be back in just a bit. Okay, excuse me. All right, so I got the fence set up there from the square edge of this router that would ride against the fence. It's 2 5/8 to the center of that hole, and the stop block over there will keep the router from going past that little line you see there at the end, which is the end of the line where the wire would eventually come up. So I've got the bit, you can see it sitting over there, extended to 3/8, which is a 1/4 inch for that, which is the 1/4 inch for this recess here, and then the other router would be doing this portion so that that piece can slip on there. The main purpose of this is so that you don't see, I mean, a person could take and put something on top of this and this, it'll be, you know, sticking out. We're just trying to make it classy. And so that would be the reason for doing it this way. And so we'll route the first screw first because it's easier, it's better to do the first, the deepest one first, and then I can sneak up on the second one. That little part down there that you see is just a burn mark. It's not like it's too deep or anything. So it's just a burn mark. Okay, we'll pick this up in a little bit more. All right, now the other router's in position, ready to go with the Mortison bit to make the slot so it's wider, that the cap will fit down into that little recess. And there it be. I think I changed my mind on using a piece of metal. I think I'll just mill out a piece of wood and use that, because I can screw, you know, into what would be these surfaces here, and the cord would obviously run down the center trough. So I think that's going to be fine. Let's set Stumpy on there, or Stumpo on there, and see what he looks like. Well, I can't. I got the stop block in the way. I'll pick that up in a bit. Okay, I got a strip milled here, and it's cut to length for the trough that's in there. I've already got one end rounded over, and I'm going to leave this rough surface to mimic the rough surface that's underneath, you know, the bottom of the table. So in other words, this side will be planed down to fit the depth of the trough that's over there. And I'm just fixing to sand it, the radius on the opposite end, like you see on this one here. And the way that I'm doing this, rather than taking a compass and going to the trouble of finding the center and then drawing it, well, the hell with that. You just take a board. These are the things I use at the lathe. You've seen me use them earlier. But basically, I just stick it on there and get it centered. And whoops, and draw the circle and then sand it down. And that's what we're gonna do right now. It just takes a little bit of finesse to put it in the right position, and then you just draw around, and you've got the radius there. And then this sander here this is a 1947 Delta 6" by 48" sander that came off of a Navy ship. In fact, there's a tag right there that says property of U.S. Navy. And so I boarded the ship one night and stole it while they were in port. And here we go. I think that's pretty good. You can see the pencil line all the way around it. Let's see how she fits in the hole, or the trough. Ta-da! Ta-da-da-da, ta-da! It's like a show from Hollywood, except better. All right, now I'm going to plane them down, and I'll pick this back up here, I don't know, in a few moments. All right, well, I've got it planed down, and about halfway through, it came to my sudden realization that if I was to plane that so it was exactly flat, the poor slob that ends up with this table, and if he ever has to replace the cord, is going to have a dickens of a time getting that strip out of there. As it is, I couldn't, when I had it setting in, when you were over there at the sander, and I pushed it down in there, I had to use that screwdriver to push it out. But anyway, so I'm going to leave this proud of the table surface there, so that the guy down the road, if he ever has to replace the cord, can lift it out of there. And it fits in there, like I said, nice and tight. So I can take and put Stumpy on there, glue him down, and all of this is ready to go. I'll just drill a hole in that end over there for the cord to come up through. And obviously the cord's going to go out this hole, down the trough, and then out the hole that will be drilled on that end of the filler strip. And I think that's going to look okie doke. I mean, obviously it's a different color, but I think by the time the stain gets on there, it'll kind of blend in a bit, and it won't look like a bump on a frog's ass. So we'll pick this up as I get further along. All right, it's time to glue the top onto Stumpo there. And I've got, you're probably questioning how in the world are you going to clamp the top and securely, and so that the glue is, properly, pressed in between both sections. And what you do is, and what I'm going to do here is use what I call a bridge clamp, and you'll see that here in just a second. But I need to get the glue spread onto the the dowels there and on the tops of the stump. I'm not going to bother gluing, putting glue the tops over there. I'm not going to bother putting glue on the top because it's not going to, it'll be fine by the time it gets squozed down. So we'll pick this up in just a second. I'm going to pause it. All right, I got the glue on there now. You can see it oozing down. Well, not oozing, but it's on there. I'm going to pick up the top and bring them over. Okay. Now, that bridge clamp I was telling you about, let's see, I think I probably want to get you a little bit higher. Rats. Daggone it. Yeah, that's probably it right there. Basically what you do is you just take in the case of my workbench here, it's 4 foot by 8 foot, and so I'm just bridging across the tabletop, and then these pipe clamps here will go on the bottom edge of the bench top and clamp onto that. But it's kind of a a three-handed affair, so to keep one end of the board, the bridge from coming up, I'll just put a temporary clamp on him and then put this pipe clamp on there, and then that way I can do both pipe clamps at the same time. That'll keep them from coming up, and then I can put this clamp on and kind of have them loose and go over here to this guy. And I'm about right. Yeah, not exactly. Oh yeah. Now he's centered. When I mean centered, from front to back, so that the bridge is, on the center of the vertical part. And there we go. Well, I'm gonna have to let that set for overnight. I am a stickler for proper gluing. I don't rush it. I don't advocate rushing it. Yes, it says the general PVA yellow carpenter's glue says you got a 30-minute, or an hour to, you can do it, but why rush it? It's all it does is create problems. So you take and let it set. Just be patient. Let the glue set up properly, and you won't have any problems. A lot of people rush it, and then that's how come some of their projects, I don't want to say fail, but don't turn out as well. So anyway, there's going to sit there, and the next stage is to put Stumpy on top of over there. We'll pick this up next time, and thanks for watching. See you in a bit. Alright, while the glue is curing on the bridge clamp there, I am turning my attention to trying to figure out what to use for the lamp fixture. And I started thinking about this at almost the same exact moment that I came up with the idea of doing this table project. And I have all kinds of things kind of floating around in my head. And, you know, I was going to use a galvanized bucket, you know, kind of turn it upside down and use that. And a couple of other ideas are still floating around. But the other day I was at my favorite shopping mall and taking some stuff there, and of course liberating stuff to come home. By the way, my shopping mall is what you would refer to as the landfill. And I was dumping stuff out, and I happened to see this laying on the ground. It's it was a Tanqueray gin bottle. I already got the labels stripped off of it. And I'm kind of thinking that this might not be a bad thing. Let's see if you're seeing the same angle. Kind of have it supported right there. And of course the lamp fixture would be down in here. But the only thing to do is I have to cut the bottom of it off. So how do we do that? Well, I'll show you. Move the stupid tripod and get him lowered down there where you can get a high level type of a thing. So, okay, that's about right. So if you look at the bottle, there's a cleft mark here, I guess from, can you see it? That little, it's a pronounced ridge here. I guess it's, oh crud, hold on, I gotta turn the scanner down. Okay, I guess this cleft mark here is from the way the bottle was formed, I suppose. But there's also a pronounced ridge around here, so that'd be kind of difficult to cut. So what I did was I measured up, and to get above that line there, and so that's what this little board is here. It's a gauge, and what's required is a simple glass cutter. You can find them anywhere. This one happens to be a Fletcher, and so that board is going to register the flat part of the cutter, and I'll just turn the bottle to score the bottle. And then after that, then we go to the next step, which is right over there, that little candle. Hang on a sec. You got to be careful with glass cutters. First off, the wheel that's on here, if you score glass, do not go back and rescore it again, because you'll ruin you just well take and throw the cutter away. It's done. You just do it once, and you'll hear it cut. It'll go a really slight little like zip, and you'll see the line. And so, but basically the bottle is just going to be spun around, and you'll see that in a sec. Just hold it down. I don't know if you can hear that. And can you see that score line right there? It goes all the way around, just like that there. And that's all you need for glass. It's just one little, it's a really faint, it's like a zipper that's really small. And that's what it sounds like. And you should see you know, the score line. And when you've got that, then you know you're good. Now a little space in there, that's fine. Don't worry about him. But it'll break just fine. So in just a second here, I'll get the next procedure mounted up, and we'll show you that. All right, what you need to do to perform this trick is to have your bottle with the line scored on it first, a candle with a precision plate holding the candle up, a lighter to light said candle, a tub of ice crystals, chunks, and a little dowel rod. Well, it's not little, it's 5/8, but as deep as the bottle is anyway. And you begin by doing this. The candle's lit. Now this is a kind of a big bottle, and it'd be tough. I mean, if it was a smaller one, it would be kind of easy just to hold it over the candle without snuffing it out. I'm going to try to do that, but I'm thinking I'll probably end up on my knees twirling it around, but we'll see what happens. Basically, you can see the score line through the glass, and you'll also see it start to smoke or put debris or blacken the glass, so there you end up with a better line to follow. Just keep twirling it around. Now the black line is pretty darn clear. I mean, easy to see through the glass. It's kind of got a parallax problem here, being able to determine how far the flame is from the edge of the bottle. But in most cases, you know, you can get it pretty darn close without snuffing the candle out. Just keep going around, till you get tired. What the glass is doing is obviously getting warm on that cut line, or excuse me, on the scratch line. And you just keep going around for a little bit. Pretty soon the black from the candle is completely around the bottle. Like I said, a smaller bottle is a lot easier to deal with than this large guy here, but I think we'll make it work. Okay, after several passes, then you take your ice cube and you rub it around the perimeter of that line that you just made, and you drop it on the floor. That's the reason why you have more than one ice cube. If you drop it on the floor, you don't have to bend over and pick it up immediately. You can just wait. I'm not saying you're going to be able to do this. You can see that it's already formed around the shape of the bottle. I'm not promising that you'll be able to do this in one pass, but if you don't rush it to begin with and take, you know, several spins around the world, if you will, it should be sufficient. Can you see the same thing I am? Okay. All right, hang on a sec. My hands are wet. Or my hand is wet. All right. Now, I'm just wiping off the black line. Now, I don't know if you can see it very well, but here's the score line, and then in there is the fracture line. And if everything goes according to Hoyle, or according to Joe, if I take this dowel rod and stick him in this hole bottle, the bottom should drop off. Just like that. See? See? Now, this earlier, remember I showed you where there was a space missing in the score line? But if you look at, so I can grind this guy off right here. But if you look right there, look at that. Nice and flat. Where do they get these guys? From the folk shop. Okay, well, and then the part that you cut off, you're not going to guarantee that you're not going to end up with, or I can't guarantee that you won't end up with a fracture like that. That's just inherent in the properties of glass. But for the most part, that is flat as, let me get it up there. That is flat as well, except for this bungered up thing here. But there's your glass trick for the, and that would only generally charge you $15 for that. But, so I'll just take this over to the sander, grind him down, and then of course ease the edges of this. But let's take him back. I mean, I'll go to my storage tubs and get all of the lamp hardware, and I'll assemble something quickly to get an idea of what it's going to look like. And we'll pick this up down the road. All right, well, I just a second ago walked over and grabbed the tub from that hole you see right there, which happens to be the tub labeled lamp hardware. Well, over the years, you know, after doing so many things with so many houses, you end up with a bunch of stuff, and there's got quite a collection of hardware, and rarely do I ever have to run down to the hardware store to find something. So my quest is to make the gin bottle that you just seen me cut the bottom off of into a lamp fixture. Well, I've got pull switches of different configurations and typical light bulb fixtures that would hold your bulb, and all of the barrels and extensions, various finials, pull chain, colors and styles, and this little fella, which would, in my opinion, would be the one that I'm thinking about using, because with these guys you'd have to reach up inside the bottle to push the switch, or in this case this one here where it's a turn switch, you know, where you click click click. So I'm thinking I'm gonna bail on those two fellas, and but this guy here is interesting because if I use a block of wood of some form across the top, damn it, across the top there to have maybe a hook or something dangle down to hold the, where the hell is it? Here's the cap. So if I had a hole in the cap and screwed the cap onto the bottle, and then the wire would come through, and then this fixture would come up through that cap. That's kind of what I'm thinking about right now. But this fella here would be the one that would bolt to the board. And if you'll notice on the end of this lamp fixture here, there's a coupler. And so this coupler would screw into that with this extension, and with these two together, if I can hold them there, it'll put that bulb, by the time the board's on there, it'll put the bulb just about right. Of course, with the different lengths of these lamp extensions, I could probably get a length that's just perfect for this bottle. So I'll gather all the gear and wire it up, and then we'll hang it up there temporarily to pretend you see it sitting there, and we'll see what it looks like. Talk to you in a while. Oh, damn it. All right, after some tinkering around and playing and fidgeting and gathering up parts here and there, I managed to get a mock-up of what I had in mind with that gin bottle. And I'm not so awful sure my head is head is screwed on tight enough. I mean, I wouldn't have the bulb sticking out below the globe there, but I might just have to look at this a little bit harder, because I don't see that as being a good thing. It looks like shit. So I'll keep the bottle for something else, and I may probably go back to my galvanized bucket idea. Who knows? I'll just have to think about it some more. In the meantime, the table's still in clamp mode, so he won't come out till tomorrow. Anyway, I gave it a shot. I mean, yeah, that's uglier than 3 people. Okay, well, we'll do something different, and see you in a while.